Hello, friends. Am I really going to the National with zero budget?
That's insane.
It was totally insane.
Pretty close, but not exactly. So stick around and let me talk about it.
Why do I listen to you?
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am the 3D 80s kid. So when this video releases on Tuesday, I will be en route to Cleveland. But at the time of this recording, this is on Monday, one day away. The excitement is just in the air. My phone is just pinging almost nonstop with the different chat groups.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
People are just super excited of what is to come here. But, as someone who recently made the really huge purchase of the Babe Ruth card, which, I might as well get a chance to show it again here. Just lovely card. Yes.
Glorious.
My dream card here. Yes, so the bulk of my budget went into that.
Or it's just all of it.
But I'm not going to go with absolute zero because I'm cooking up some other things. Because there is still an outstanding trade that I've mentioned a few times on live streams with Chris from Missouri, where he has not completely concluded that trade. To close the loop exactly. And that was where I traded him, I think it was 22 different cards.
And show you this Ted Simmons. Now look at that card. Beautiful card, 1972. Now, I picked up some 72 cards, 1972 cards. I picked up some 1961 cards and some 53 Bowman color. I had this Lou Brock, but I live in middle Missouri, and when I set up a card shows, Lou Brock sells really quick. Now, what we did, for those of you that want to know how did we come about this, trading 3 cards for 22 cards, 3 cards and some cash, is we basically we tried to get as close to as we could as far as monetary goes. So we looked up the value of these cards and came up with a number, and we looked at the value of the 3 cards, and we came up with that number, and then I made the difference with cash. These 72s are beautiful. Some of my favorite sets is Tony Oliva, recent Hall of Famer, Jim Cott, another recent Hall of Famer that I need to work on their runs. Billy Williams is lacking in my collection, but that's a beautiful card. This to me, is an iconic card as a kid. I had this and I loved it, and Jim Palmer was a very great, underrated pitcher. And I'm going to have to do a video on Jim Palmer sometime. Last but not least of the 72s is a Tom Seaver. That's a pretty sharp card. It's a little bit off center. I'd be off center for Dylan, but it's just right for me. So John had a 1960 collection of cards that he just loved in the 1960s, but now he's excited because he's going a different direction. So he was willing to give up a few 1960 cards. Nellie Fox. Jim Bunning. Never had these cards really in my collection. I never thought about them much. Robin Roberts. Beautiful card. You can tell that John went after a lot of centered cards. These grades are similar to the grades that I have in a lot of my cards. Bill Mazeroski. I put a W in there, his name, when I pronounced it. That didn't belong. Beautiful card here of Minnie Minoso. Luis Aparicio. Beautiful looking card. That one's centered enough for Dylan, I believe. Brooks Robinson. Now, when John gets his cards, I hope he's as happy as I am. Now, he's not going to be so happy when he doesn't have the rest of the money in there, but I trust that he believes that I'll get it to him. And last but not least of the 60s, Stan Musial. Now, I love this card. Again, part of my inventory because Stan sells easy. Now, the 53 color, here's a red Shane Deans Authentic. We don't know why this was authentic, but beautiful looking card. Phil Rizzuto, another beautiful card. And Richie Ashburn. A very underrated player for the Phillies.
For 3 bigger cards and cash to balance things out. And just real quick, the cards I received from Chris in that deal was this one here, the 49 Bowman Phil Rizzuto. At the time in a PSA 6 that I've since crossed over. This gorgeous 1950 Larry Doby in its original packaging still. And lastly, another PSA crossover of a PSA 4 to an SGC 4 of this 1951 Yogi Berra card.
They're beautiful.
And to close the rest of that deal, there was actually $120 of cash.
Trade, I was supposed to send him some cash. As of right now, John has not received any cash from me because I forgot.
Which I let float because I didn't need the money right away. Chris has been dealing cards almost nonstop during this whole time. And I thought, if there was a chance that he came across a card that worked for me, that we could just finish the deal that way. It hasn't worked out that way as of yet. So, we're going to meet up at the National. As it turns out, he has recent trouble with his hotel, and he is joining us in the Airbnb. We're up to now 14 YouTubers, I believe, in this house. So it's going to be a fun time. So there is that to finish things up.
$2.
And additionally, I stewed a long time staring at my 60 tops, my 53 Bowmans, and my 72 tops before I finally, ultimately decided I don't like how my collection is shaping up for this.
Is this what you do at work?
I finally got the nerve that I'm going to turn these over and make it be a collection I'll be even happier with. And I have reached that point, actually, with 3 purchases or acquisitions on the pre-war front. So I'm actually going to bring 3 cards with me with the intention of possibly trading or selling them in an effort to turn them into something I do love. And that would be this 34 Gaudy Charlie Gehringer, which, as it turns out, was part of my original trade with Chris from Missouri. And I just decided I'm not a big fan of this card. I already have other couple of 34 Gaudy examples for the set as representatives, and I just want to move on from this card. I do like a few of his other cards better for Charlie Gehringer to ultimately be the piece of my collection. So this one is up. I'm thinking somewhere in the $100 to $110 range of what I'd be hoping to get back for it. So next one is this card here. It took me a while to get to the point of being willing to part with this one, as I definitely do want at least one representative from the Yingling, Harrington, Tharp, Sweetman, F50 cards. And this has been my one representative for a while now of the Bill Terry that's not actually Bill Terry. I've talked about it multiple times. But if you aren't aware, this is actually a photo of Zeb Terry from 10 years earlier. He was not an active player anymore in 1928 when this was made. He only had like a 4 or 5 year career in the teens and was definitely not around for 1928 when this set was produced, which was near the beginning of Bill Terry's career. So this one is a case where I had feelings that I didn't like the fact that it wasn't actually a photo of Bill Terry. And it finally sealed the deal for me when I had a conversation with Dan of Dan's Vintage PC, when he talked about the very same thing, that he bought that card originally not realizing that it wasn't a photo of Bill Terry. I did the very same thing, buying it, where once I had it in hand and could look closely, I'd looked and that doesn't look like Bill Terry's face, from like his 33 or 34 Gaudy card. This is a very different looking face, so that is not Bill Terry. And that's when I also learned that it wasn't him initially, and then looked up online to see what the deal was, and found out who it was. So I do want to move on from that card now and get a card that is actually Bill Terry in the picture or drawing or painting, whatever style it ends up being. So my last card, and this is a case where I just don't think I really like any cards from this set, and I don't care if I ever own one again.
If you don't like that, I'm sorry.
And that is this W512 of Rogers Hornsby, in which I have an authentic min size here. And, I neglected to mention, the Bill Terry's probably somewhere in the same ballpark of the Charlie Gehringer of around $110-ish. So this one here generally is around the $160-ish mark as far as transacting. So between the three of those cards, if I turn it into one really nice one, that'd be great. A couple ones I like better would be great too. I don't really have a set thing I want to turn those into. I just know I don't want those cards. I think I'm going to kind of let it just flow to me as far as what I see out there and if I like it. So
I just try to go to the flow, you know?
because I don't really have a strict list I'm following as far as which card I'm going to get of who at this point regarding pre-war. Other than I do need to be very selective with targets with relatively the very expensive guys to try, you know, in some cases to target something that is one of their more cheaper cards. So, but that is my approach. And, last thing is I was actually tabbed by one of my friends who cannot attend the National.
We'll miss you.
To hunt down and buy a card for him. So that will be a fun exercise as well. You know, I won't reveal who that is. I'll let him to talk about it if he wants to on his channel. But, yeah, that'll be a fun exercise to hunt down a card for somebody else and see if I can find something that'll work for their collection.
That's cool!
But that's it. I am super excited to meet everyone. This house we're going to be in with 14 guys is going to be just a great time. Thursday night, the gathering for YouTubers. I can't wait to meet as many people as possible. I know it's going to be crazy trying to meet everybody as large as this community has grown. But I'm going to do my best to get around and say hi to everyone I possibly can, get pictures with people. This is going to be amazing. So, everybody, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
Well, see you next time.
Yeah, unless I get lucky and break a leg.